My dad had a lot of phrases and old sayings that he liked to repeat. And after he died, I worried that I'd forget. I'd forget all these phrases in it. So I started writing them down. I had this list, this long list of phrases, and then I realized that kind of could be turned into a poem. He called me Bud, and he was the only person who ever called me by that name. Working in the shop on the farm, if he needed a sledgehammer, he'd say, "Hand me that persuader over there." If a nut was too rusty to turn off a bolt, he'd light the cutting torch and say, "I'll use the fire wrench." He'd call baling wire a Mormon toolkit. His name for a handyman jack was the Widowmaker because the handle could flip up and hit you in the face, but we used that jack all the time. When a repair job was finished, he'd often say, "Good enough for who it's for," which meant for us. If my rows started getting crooked when I planted corn, he'd say, "You're getting a dog leg." If I got off center when I was cultivating sugar beets and the cultivator knives cut the tops off of a few beet plants, we wouldn't know it until the tops of those plants would wilt in the afternoon, and he would call that cultivator blight. Looking at the corn, he liked to repeat the phrase, "High as an elephant's eye by the 4th of July." He claimed if you listened carefully on a hot summer day, you could hear the corn growing. After listening close year after year, I'm still not sure if he was kidding. He said if you pick up a calf on the day it was born and you pick it up every day, you could eventually pick up a full-grown bull. I think he was kidding. When we'd go to the farm service agency to sign up for a government farm program, he would call that bellying up to the trough. One time, when I was a kid, I had the pickup truck in reverse driving beside the corral, and I had the door open, and the door snagged a hay bale. The door was dented and the hinges were sprung, and I was sure scared when I showed him the damage. He looked at it, and all he said was, "Did you learn anything?" If I ever said I wish, he'd say, "Wish in one hand and spit in the other and see what you get the most." He didn't say spit. If I didn't work fast enough, he'd say, "Grandma was slow, but she was old. What's your excuse?" And "Hurry up, or take your time, but hurry up." Take your time, but hurry up. He seemed to know only one line from any song, like when he'd sing, "When you see me coming, you better step aside. A lot of men didn't, and a lot of men died." And in the morning, to the tune of Army Reveille, "Oh, I can't get 'em up, I can't get 'em up, oh, I can't get 'em up in the morning." I didn't even know what song the line was from, but he'd sing, "Listen to the bacon frying as it's sizzling in the pan." He'd remember a poem on summer days, "Mosquito, you fly high, mosquito, you fly low. Mosquito, you fly on me, and you ain't gonna fly no mo." My son, William, at 3 years old, fell out of the back of the pickup truck. He wasn't hurt, but Dad repeated an old phrase, "He went down like a sack of potatoes." My dad liked to recite a quote that he said went around during World War II. Attempting an impression of FDR, he would say, "I don't want war, and the people don't want war, but Eleanor wants war, so I guess we're going to have war." He liked to rattle off the phrase, "I kicked old Nellie in the belly in the barn." And if you stood between him and the television, he'd say, "You make a better door than you do a window." He'd call a quarter 2 bits, a $5 bill a 5 spot, and a $10 bill a sawbuck. I only once heard him say, "I love the land." I only heard him say it once, but I knew he meant it. He was the only person who ever called me Bud, and no one will ever call me by that name again. If they do, I won't answer.